Okay, it's growing increasingly likely that League One and League Two seasons will be cancelled. Now that's 47 clubs remaining in League One and League Two. Obviously, Bury have gone out of business in August. The Championship has 24 clubs. So if the Football League was to vote tomorrow, which is not going to happen, but if they were to vote tomorrow and League One and League Two as a block voted against restarting, the Championship wouldn't be able to restart either. And what we've seen with this Project Restart is it seems to be very focused on the Premier League and nothing else. There's not a lot of talk really and a positive plan to restart the lower leagues. The EFL, the FA haven't really come up with a restart plan for the Championship, League One and League Two. It's all been Premier League, FA, restart the Premier League. It's Premier League first, everything else can go by the wayside. And we've already heard calls from League One and League Two for a salary cap, which I personally think should apply to all football. But that's just me. Other people may disagree. But we've clearly seen that the spiralling costs of football are unsustainable. And that post-crisis, people's finances, that's the fans, is going to be a whole lot less. They're going to have less money to spend. We've already seen people cancelling their Sky Sports and BT Sports subscriptions because they cannot afford it. And long term, the way football is structured financially, it's not sustainable anyway. The football money gravy train bubble was going to burst. It's just burst a lot sooner than people realised because of this lockdown. And you've got the Premier League and the Championship and the FA saying, we're losing money, then open up the books fully and transparently, and guess what? They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that because then us, the general public, will see how they've wasted all that TV money. Because if they had been very, very wise in keeping hold of some money for a rainy day, League One and League Two wouldn't be in the crisis they're in because clubs are facing going out of business like Bury. Macclesfield Town have been hit with a points deduction, which firstly should have been sorted out whilst the season was still good and times were good. They should have been deducted the points far sooner than they have been. To punish them now when there's no football going on is moronic by the Football League, to be brutally honest. But then the Football League isn't really a very good governing body for the Championship, League One and League Two now, is it? It's shown itself to be not fit for purpose for forever, really. And the Premier League restart, it's all about the Premier League. But here's the thing, if the lower leagues don't want to restart or can't restart, it makes it really stupid just to focus on the Premier League. Because clubs at the lower levels could go out of business. And if they go out of business, the football pyramid will crumble on itself. It will become unsustainable. Massively unsustainable. So the footballing authorities need to think long and hard about Project Restart and why they're only favouring the Premier League when there's 3 other professional leagues to consider. And they should have an equal say on how football is run, and they're not getting that. They're not getting the support they should from the FA and the EFL. And the Championship's in a mess. The clubs are at war with each other, as we've seen with this Project Restart. The players are at war with the clubs and themselves, because we've seen a growing number of players voice concerns about returning. Now, only Danny Rose has come out publicly and had his little F-bomb rant on social media, but we know more players are raising concerns about resuming play. We know that there are some players who are asthmatic. We know there are some players who have vulnerable relatives, some players who have newborn kids. They have families. And let's say football does restart in the Premier League. Let's say football does restart in the Bundesliga, which looks highly likely. We've already got players in the Bundesliga testing positive days before the competition is due to restart. What happens if a player dies? This virus has shown it can kill healthy people. Let's see what happens when a player tests positive and then dies. What then? So there's so many unknowns. But the Project Restart is too Premier League centric, and it really is favouring the Big Six. And that's led to a whole load of divisions in the Premier League. Now, tomorrow there is a meeting with the Culture Secretary and the footballing authorities. That is the FA, that is the Premier League, that is the EFL, about discussing Project Restart. The League One and League Two clubs will send representatives via video link to that meeting, and they are basically resigned to not restarting because they've not been given any idea from the EFL on restart dates, training dates, quarantine protocols. So we are seeing a divide in football. We are seeing a massive divide in football. The clubs are at war with themselves. There is no central direction to say, right, all 4 leagues are going to restart. It's all favouring the Premier League, which is not a good look. This restart is primarily greed and to mitigate losses for the rich boys. It seems the footballing authorities don't seem to care much for the lesser clubs, who are the bread and butter of the game. because if the Football League starts falling apart and clubs go out of business, the current model is definitely unsustainable and the football pyramid will collapse. You start taking pieces of that tower block or that football pyramid away, we've already lost Bury, it has a knock-on effect for other clubs and their finances, and then it will have a further knock-on effect the further up the football pyramid you go, because it will lead to eventual unsustainability and collapse. So there we go. League One and League Two look increasingly likely to be cancelled, their seasons. That will affect the Championship, that will affect the Premier League. So the FA and the footballing governing bodies need to think very long and hard about this project restart and, what it means for the lower leagues and what it means for football. Because from what I can tell, it's about greed. It's not about public morale. It's not about completing seasons fairly. It's about greed. Because the TV companies have weighed in saying they want money back. These leagues are saying they're losing money, they're losing money. Open up the books. It's about greed. It's about making sure millionaires and billionaires lose as little money as possible. But it doesn't really give a damn about the lower leagues, where players aren't paid a lot anyway. It doesn't give a damn about non-playing staff at clubs, really. Because we've seen, like, Newcastle United furlough staff without pay. We're seeing some of these big clubs furlough staff on reduced pay. It's about greed. Plain and simple. But I'm going to leave that there. Please leave your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.